firm and a dark legacy for the industry. On Wall Street, with investors still uncertain whether they can trust anyone, come warnings that without much stronger protections, more Enrons lie ahead.
Mr. Ken.
Yes. So I hope that was an interesting documentary on the bigger than Enron and about the accounting scandals and how politicians were involved in the year 2000. So after 2000 scandal, the government passed regulations in America Syarikat. They passed a law called Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Right? And they thought, can you hear me? Okay, yes. So they passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in US as a result of the scandals of Arthur Andersen, Enron, WorldCom in America in the year 2001. And they thought that that would solve the problem, you know, that there'll be no such big scandal happening again. But then 8 years later in tahun 2008, 2008 and 9, there was this big financial crisis in that started from America subprime property market. And there was a bigger scandal than Enron. There was this Lehman Brothers collapse, you know, that runs into trillions of US dollars. So 2008 was a banking scandal. You know, companies involved in banking, investment banking collapsed because of the property bubble in US that sparked off the subprime mortgage issue. And this resulted in US printing money, right? QE1, QE2, QE3. So, and then now we have a new crisis, the COVID crisis, right? So it's one crisis after another crisis. So the documentary basically highlighted that during the year 2000, juru audit ada terlibat dalam consulting work as well as auditing work. So kalau you are an auditor and you're also doing what consulting work for the client, do you think you'll be independent ke? Bebas? Of course not lah, because you're receiving more consultancy income from the client than audit fees. So you may receive 10 million in audit fees, but you receive 100 million in consulting fees. So in fact, your client become your boss lah. Correct or not? So I see the American Security Commission chairman try to pass a law to prevent that from happening by making it compulsory for auditor not to do consulting work if they do auditing. But then politics politician. So the orang kaya, go to influence a politician on the White House. So White House politician. Wait, I meet one person first. So of course, if you pay politicians and support them, they will support you. So they prevented the Securities Commission chairman at that time, Mr. Arthur Leavitt, from passing a law to stop auditor from doing consulting work. Then, of course, the Enron scandal happened, the WorldCom scandal happened, 2001. Then politicians got no choice because the scandal exploded. So they passed a law now. So now auditors, juru audit for financial statements is barred from doing consulting service if they're auditors, which I think is good because you cannot be truly independent unless you cut out the consulting work. So consulting is consulting, audit is audit lah. So that is the history of what happened in 2001 and the year 2000. Is a combination of politicians, auditors and the company lah. So during that time also they have this thing called share option, employee share option 2000. So seorang CEO atau senior management, CEO boleh jadi kaya kalau dia dapat itu free punya share option. All right. So in Enron and WorldCom case, the CEO and the board, they get millions and millions and millions of this option, percuma, free options. So when you get a free option, of course they sit and they think how to jadi orang kaya. So what they do is they buat itu perakaunan palsu, creative accounting. They check up the profit lah. Alright, so they falsify the account, and this one with the help of auditors, Juro Audit like Arthur Anderson. In fact, Arthur Anderson teach them how to do it. That's a wonderful thing lah. And so they cook the books lah. They say memaksakan buku, and Enron generated hundreds and millions of profit every month, every 3 months. Quarterly reporting profit naik. So semua ini adalah palsu punya. So how they do it is they receive advice from the auditor, the expert in auditor, how to cook the books. So that's a wonderful thing about this scandal lah. So when the whole thing blow up, Arthur Anderson tried to memusnahkan, try to destroy working paper by shredding lah. They spent a few weeks shredding. So they got caught on this and they lost the license because of this scandal. One or two partner dipenjarakan. Enron CEO dipenjara 20 tahun. Lama. The chairman, he's called Jeff Skiing. The chairman called Ken Lay, right? Not Kente, Ken Lay. Dia dipenjarakan juga 20 tahun, 25 tahun, right? But only Jeff Skiing masuk penjara. Ken Skiing tak perlu masuk, although he's convicted. Mengapa? Because dia meninggal dunia. Bila dia dapat court verdict, sentence him to 25 years jail. About 3 months later, dia meninggal dunia kerana heart attack lah. But the thing is that because he died and he filed satu appeal, they filed the appeal. He was convicted. Then he filed appeal. Then when he filed the appeal, Ken Skiing, he filed the appeal. Then dia meninggal dunia. The court cannot record the conviction against him. So he become no conviction. So the government cannot forfeit dia punya asset. So maybe he committed suicide lah. I don't know lah. So because he died, he filed appeal, then died, they cannot record conviction. Whereas Ken Skiing, convicted, he didn't die, right? So he appeal also failed, so dia masuk penjara. So I
Pandai
think
dia buat ni Mr. Ken ni.
Sorry?
Pandai dia buat macam tu.
Siapa? Ken Skiing? Ken Lay, is it?
Dia bunuh diri ke apa?
Dia meninggal dunia kerana heart attack lah, but we don't know lah. Because he's a kawan rapat dengan George Bush. So maybe we suspect dia ada connection with CIA. Mungkin he never die, but pretend to die, right?
Betul.
So I mean, there are a lot of speculation. Because George Bush senior is a CIA head last time, right? So Ken Lay is a close friend of George Bush and the junior also George Bush. So they always got party, they got function, they call each other by first name. In fact, George Bush called him Kenny Boy, So they're very close friend. Just like Malaysia, you got our own scandal. We got the ex-PM Najib with Jolo, with all these people. So allegedly dia ada kaitan rapat lah. We don't know lah. But for Jeff Skiing, the CEO, dia masuk 20 tahun. So I think recently he was released. Good behavior, dia released. And then for WorldCom, Bernie Ebbers, WorldCom scandal, dia dipenjara 20 tahun. But he was released a few years ago because he was ill health. Then shortly after he released, he died lah. I think cancer lah. Yeah, died from cancer, right? So a lot of these people, their tipu punya come out, they got not so good ending lah. Then another guy called Bernie Madoff, Ponzi scheme expert, he cheated people out of about 50 B, US Ponzi scheme. So also very bad ending because dua anak meninggal dunia, satu because of cancer, satu suicide, and then dia dipenjarakan masuk penjara 150 tahun. So now, 150 tahun, there's a cartoon that show that the prison warden throw away the key because no need the key to let him out again lah. This one is another scandal, okay? The Bernie Madoff scandal also very, very funny lah. His fund is very big. He's an investment firm, very big, but his auditor is his relative, and the relative is an old man with only one staff, himself. So that means his this case, if you do a bit of homework, you wouldn't get cheated by him. You just check on the auditor lah. So auditor is an old man, one person in the office, one room office. He looked after the whole firm, signed everything, and he's a relative of Bernie Madoff. So tentu tidak boleh percaya, bukan? So it's very important when you invest in the company to look at who's the auditor, whether boleh pakai or not lah. So if it's a big four auditor, I think even Deloitte also can trust lah, because they have a system in place. The smaller one, like BDO, Binder, right? All these fellas, the second tier also okay, all right. But the small one, very kuchi small one, the one that have only a small office with a few staff, be a bit more careful lah, right? Because to them, in difficult time, they need fees, bukan? Right? Cari makan, the fees. So if they financially got problem, I think if the client give them some pocket money, I think they will sign lah. But big audit firm, they have system in place lah. Now for the Deloitte case, it's so very susah for the partner, Let me ask you, if you are the partner of Deloitte and the Prime Minister asks you to audit the account, would you audit or not? If the Prime Minister approach you and ask you to audit this company XYZ, right? Ask you to audit and sign, would you do it?
Tertakluk kepada keadaan semasa, Mr. Kian.
Yeah, depending lah.
Kalau kita tengok di Malaysia ini, sistem kita banyak dipengaruhi oleh ahli-ahli politik dan juga kaki tangan kerajaan yang berkuasa.
Yeah.
Ayat yang biasa digunakan oleh mana-mana individu ataupun corporation, mereka akan cakap, report ini ikut kemauan saya atau saya tak bayar.
Ya.
Itu kebiasaan. Dan ramai audit firm yang telah bungkus tikar ataupun jadi petani pembela kambing di kampung kerana masalah audit report. Contohnya yang paling ketara adalah audit report berkaitan GLC ataupun agensi-agensi kerajaan. Contohnya syarikat kepunyaan kerajaan. Begitu juga dengan Petronas. Sehingga hari ini tidak ada audit report yang dipublish kepada umum. Hanya dilaporkan kepada Parlimen dan dikawal selia oleh PAC. Begitu juga kes 1MDB. Tapi kita terlepas pandang pada krisis kewangan pada tahun 1996, 1997 dan 1998. Bagaimana beberapa bank di Malaysia telah ditutup kerana krisis kewangan. Dan krisis kewangan ini diatur gerak oleh pihak-pihak tertentu yang di atas. Dan begitu juga dasar-dasar ekonomi baru, dasar ekonomi Bumi Putra dan sebagainya, sehingga hari ini tidak ada satu pun dasar ekonomi ataupun dasar ekonomi yang berjaya. Dan tidak ada satu pun auditors ataupun accountant yang ke hadapan untuk mengumpulkan salah tadbir urus ataupun salah guna kuasa. Sebab dekat situ projek-projek contohnya ECAR, projek koridor raya multimedia dan sebagainya. Sehingga hari ini tak nampak keberkesanan kepada rakyat yang hanya kita nampak berbillions of ringgit telah dilaburkan, tetapi tidak ada satu report pun daripada auditors yang menyatakan kebenarannya. Itu adalah persoalan dia, di manakah keberkesanan auditors di dalam menentukan polisi ekonomi dan juga polisi pentadbiran negara.
Good point there. So sangat susahlah juru audit. So but sekarang dia ada peraturan regulation to regulate auditors under itu Akta Capital Market Services Act. So dalam Akta Capital Market Services Act is wajib for juru audit to reportkan apa kesalahan kepada regulators seperti Securities Commission dan MOF right? So this one is wajib. They got no choice. They got no choice. And under Acta Capital Services Act, which we will study later, right? Kalau juru audit tidak whistleblower, dia akan di-charge dan dia akan masuk penjara. So I think this Acta now is effective since tahun 2007. So it applies to semua syarikat yang disenaraikan, listed company lah. So I think it's good. But if you wind back the clock during the time of the 1MDB issue is the time the regulation not so clear cut lah, not so clear cut. So if you are auditor and then you are approached by very powerful people who promise you very very high fees lah, and also dia janjikan akan berikan more audit work for you, I think you will tempt a lot of people. Well, because they never thought that the powerful person can lose power, all right? So in the case of 1MDB issue is that the first two auditor didn't want to sign, so they kena sack lah, remove and then Deloitte came and decided to sign, so kena lah, all right? And also they did not report some of the things they're supposed to report under Akta Syarikat. So they also kena fine for that lah. So I think as an auditor now, the risk sangat tinggi, very high, because number one, you can go to jail if you are charged under Akta Capital Market Service Act. If you find something wrong, kalau tidak report, you'll be responsible. So apart from that also, juru audit have to look out for money laundering, Akta Amla, right? So Akta Amla is very wide, So some more, if an auditor discover other issue on Amla, can you tell the client? Can you tell the client?
Tak mungkin.
Cannot, because under Amla, if under Amla you discover is Amla issue, you tidak boleh tip off the client. Cannot tip off the client. You must report to authorities like Bank Negara, all right, or Securities Commission, without informing the client, because it's an offense. You cannot tell the client, hey, Amla lah, I must report. That is an offense lah. So auditor have to quietly go and report to the authorities, to Bank Negara lah. Bank Negara is supposed to be the central committee for that, but SC also got a division that handle this Amla for auditor to report. And by the way, you see, Bank Negara is supposed to be a corporate policeman, bukan? But then recently, other article come out that the former Bank Negara chairwoman, I think was Tan Sri Zeti, is allegedly lah, don't know true. Allegedly, her husband is involved in receiving some funds from the 1MDB money trail, alright, money trail lah. This one, she kept very quiet. Mungkin because there's a court case happening now, it's better for her not to say anything lah. So, but if kalau ini adalah true, that means regulator themselves would be under scrutiny also, right? So it's interesting to follow, who knows what during those time. Because if you look at the American case, Enron case, ada libat dalam case itu adalah politicians juga, right? In America, Prime Minister, the President is involved, or the congressmen are involved, yeah? Why? Because when some party promised to fund your election and things like that, right? You would tend to support what they want, right? So it's very interesting now. Corporate governance has taken a very serious view. And then another case is also MACC Section 17A. Ada dengar ini? Yes, MACC. MACC Section 17A adalah satu new akta that just been gazetted 1st of June. Alright, 1st of June. Now, ini akta very draconian. I think yesterday one director kena already, Chu Ben Ben of Datasonic. Right? It says that kalau syarikat bribe somebody, right? Syarikat bribe somebody, the director all can kena charge also, even though they don't know about it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so that means this ACTA MACC 17A say that you are presumed guilty unless you can prove that you are innocent. So under MACC, there are satu guideline, the 17A, is how to prove that you're innocent. You must implement this procedure called trust, T-R-U-S-T. That means you must show that you have documented a policy to tell the staff don't bribe, right? And it must be in writing. It cannot be like, I tell them, There must be tangible written proof that you have told your staff and your associate, do not bribe, right? And then secondly, the director and the senior management and the board mesti ada policy that is in the website and also published website and also in the documentation that there is a policy pengurusan risiko dan kawalan dalam that ada implemented to prevent corruption. So auditors are obliged to look at this particular ACTA when they audit to comment on whether this policy has been put in place lah. So now auditor have to have another headache apart from certifying itu accounts adalah bebas dan adalah true and fair, benar dan saksama akta syarikat. They have to certify that company is solvent, going concern. They have to certify that no money laundering that they are aware of, right? And now they have to certify MACC 17A, they have not come across anything to show them that the company involved in bribery lah. So MACC 17A make a lot of director very scared because last time director kalau dia diam, keep quiet, he can claim that I don't know. Now is you don't know also you cannot charge because they say you are accessory by keeping quiet. So now all the directors are very scared. So after they attend all the courses, now they try to force the management to implement itu pengurusan risiko and kawalan dalam policy in writing. And then they will send people for training. Minute that all sent for training, and then everybody must sumpah kita tidak terlibat dalam rasuah. Alright. So the first victim of this was yesterday. Surat khabar come out. Chu Ben Ben, Mr. Dato or Tan Sri, I can't remember. Chu Ben Ben. He's a direct CEO or director of Datasonic. Alright. Now you know that Datasonic was involved in something about paying a bribe to allegedly again lah to former minister, and it was so stupid they pay by check. Alright.
Datasonic ni terlibat dalam penukaran sistem immigration di pintu masuk negara, misalkan
yes, exactly right. So in this kind of business, there's a lot of alleged allegation that you must go and pay somebody high places only boleh dapat contract, right?
Ya, betul. Itu dah menjadi satu budaya di Malaysia.
Yeah, but Chu Ben Ben, Mr. Chu Ben Ben or Datuk Chu Ben Ben, dia kena charge yesterday not because of Datasonic, but because he's involved in another syarikat called Delium, which allegedly again pay a bribe to Petronas, oil and gas company lah. So because of that connection, he was charged because of the nexus between dia dengan Delium. Delium is another oil and gas that's listed lah. So Datasonic yesterday announced he was charged, but nothing to do with Datasonic. But in Datasonic case, there is another pending case involved with payment by the same guy, Mr. Chu, to another minister. I don't name the minister, but it was so silly. They gunakan check, all right? So this is corruption 101 is you never pay, using check to your name,
Bukti yang tak boleh dinafikan.
So, but then he say, then later change story. He said that it's a political donation. So So there are a lot of donation happening. So when they cannot explain, usually is donation lah. So it's
Mr. Ken, boleh saya tanya satu soalan. Apakah tanggungjawab dan penglibatan auditors di dalam satu-satu projek yang mana secara langsung atau tidak langsung mereka mengetahui bahawa kos-kos projek itu adalah tidak berasas. Contohnya, kos projek terlebih daripada pasaran. Kalau satu projek bernilai 20 juta dan telah dimarkup menjadi 50 juta dan 100 juta. Apakah itu tanggungjawab seorang auditor, dan ataupun adakah auditor itu terlibat ataupun perlu memaklumkan kepada pihak-pihak terbabit bagi pembuktian kepada maklumat yang dikenal pasti.
Okey, ini soalan baik ya. Okay, the process of audit, appointment of auditor lah, alright.
Yeah.
So when the auditor ada dilantikkan, oleh pemegang shareholder, dia akan bermula audit. So bila dia bermula audit, dia akan mendapat surat, alright, sumpahan dari setiap pengarah, alright. Number one, ada internal control problem. Number two, ada parti berkaitan. That means somewhere is the director's relative involved, somewhere the director's kawan or related party lah, his associate involved or not, doing business, have to disclose lah. So ini sumpahan dari, first thing that asks is for this. Number one is you give me a declaration. Are you aware of any internal control weaknesses dan fraud? Each one was signed, okay, for the auditor. Number two is, are you aware of any of your related party, and do you do business with the company, with yourself, or with your relative, or with somebody close to you? Two letter, the sign. Must sign lah. If they don't sign, the auditor will go and ask why. All right. So your case is itu project cost overrun tu kan?
Cost overrun. Contohnya biasanya berlaku dalam projek-projek melibatkan projek kerajaan yang di tender out ataupun yang dibuka tender ataupun dibincang terus di antara satu institusi kerajaan dengan satu pihak korporat. Jadi kita tahu, saya ambil contoh satu perkara, banyak kes berlaku di Petronas project. Antaranya rejuvenation GPP1 dan GPP2. Begitu juga dengan kebakaran platform Angsi A dan Angsi B di Laut Cina Selatan, Laut Perairan ZI Terengganu. Kosnya hanya 5% satu unit, tetapi telah dimarkup menjadi RM10 satu unit. Adakah itu merupakan tanggungjawab auditors? Ataupun apakah yang perlu dibuat oleh auditors sekiranya mengenal pasti kes-kes yang kemudian?
Okay, after the auditor buat itu kawalan dalam assessment or whatever, the auditor will come up with a surat pengurusan, which is a management letter. So dalam management letter, dia akan highlight apa irregularities yang discover by them. Dia akan report kepada jawatan kuasa audit committee. So the communikasi of the syarikat is not the CEO with auditor, because the CEO may be the monyet, right? The monster.
Yeah. Yes.
So the
engineers, the project managers, the supervisor, all of them monyet. Kalau satu monyet saja dia tak jadi.
Yeah. So that's why they form the audit committee, which is largely pengarah bebas. Alright. So the pengarah bebas channel of communication is with auditor. Auditor find anything, we'll discuss with them lah. So once a year, or twice a year, the juru audit will meet with the independent audit committee alone, without any management staff involved. Some even the secretary cannot go in. So during that time, the auditor will tell the audit committee lah what is not convenient to tell to the management staff around. Because when you attend a board meeting, sometimes the CEO around, right? So the auditor may find it very difficult to say lah. So the law, the regulation now say at least once a year, auditor meet with the audit committee member alone. All right. So during that time, the auditor can highlight in verbally, right, and brief the. So the audit committee chairman will normally ask lah, is there anything that I should know, right? So it's like saying, you want to say anything, you better say now, all right? So
tapi kebiasaannya auditor, members of audit committee atau chairman kepada audit committee itu adalah juga merupakan director ataupun orang yang berkepentingan di dalam syarikat tersebut.
It's true. Dia juga ada kaitan dengan
ada kaitan.
Monyet, right? Yeah. So
yes, yeah.
So but then the law, undang-undang bertukar in such a way that they make the liability so heavy for the pengarah bebas that they also begin to be scared, because kalau dia kena denda, the syarikat cannot pay the denda for him. So he may kena denda 100,000 ringgit. You have to pay. Alright? and the company cannot pay for him, right? Unless the boss, CEO behind back,
Kau team lah,
back
kau team lah.
kau team lah.
Okay.
But go to jail, how? Go to jail, the boss is not going to help you, right?
Definitely.
So there is also the threat of penjara. So
Yes,
the
yes.
law is changed to make the seat of the pengarah bebas so hot that they have no choice but to really ask questions. And also now they make it, kalau you are pengarah bebas for 9 years, you have to go for special approval to be a pengarah bebas. If you are 12 years, kalau you are already 9 years, 9 tahun as a pengarah bebas, the requirement for AGM is that you must be voted in again every year by shareholders of not independent. The shareholder have to vote you in again, If you are 12 years, the minority shareholder will vote separately, right? So, because why? Because they say that after 9 years, you become two kawan already, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
there's a presumptive
Sudah boleh minum teh, main golf sekali lah.
Yeah lah. So that's why they say 9 years, they highlight already. But there are cases, maybe 9 years also independent. So they need satu assessment by the nomination committee. They mesti write assessment to support. Is he independent or not? Then ini will be read to the shareholder. Shareholder decide. Alright? Shareholder decide. But to me personally speaking, is after 9 years, become very close friend already lah. Susah to be pengarah bebas lah. Yeah, so they are the Bursa Malaysia and SC recognize all this conflict of interest, the relationship. They recognize it. So now they are coming out with regulations and best practice to make it more difficult for pengarah bebas to hide. All right, to hide because the fees maybe you get 5,000 a month, but liability unlimited, bukan?
Yeah.
Right? So you collect 60,000 fees 1 year, but you can kena denda 1 million plus masuk penjara. So you got no upside, but plenty of downside. So to be pengarah bebas, you have to be very careful to open your eyes very wide. So anything not right, better whistle, blow whistle. All right. So in the case of the audit, when they start juru audit, first thing asked is your letter that you are not aware of any fraud or
Undertaking
weakness
letter.
kawalan dalam. Number 2 is, do you have any secret dealings with syarikat or not? Right? And then do you have any relationship with the boss, that kind of thing lah, also certified. So after all this is certified, auditor buat audit, then I'm sure such a big issue, the auditor will find out. Dia akan issuekan satu surat pentadbiran or management letter to the audit committee. So in the management letter, it will be highlighted that there's a big cost overrun in the project, and then the auditor is of the view that maybe there is irregularities. They will recommend that a forensic audit dibuat lah. All right, because the juru audit role is not to go investigate that. The highlight to you, right? The highlight to the audit committee. Audit committee is supposed to take action. All right. So highlighted to them, the external auditor have done the job. All right. But if they discover things like money laundering, then the auditor will directly go to the authorities without telling the board of director, Kalau
bagaimana keadaan kalau auditor setelah mengenal pasti financial statement, di dalam financial statement itu tidak ada sebarang keraguan laporan tersebut ataupun rekod tersebut. Tetapi di sebalik kejadian sebenar, auditors mengenal pasti bahawa kos projek ini memang terlebih ataupun individu yang terlibat, contohnya independent director. Kebanyakan independent director dalam GLC, mereka yang dilantik daripada bekas state secretary, bekas SPNO, bekas ketua polis negara, dan mereka ini ada connection secara terus, ada hubungan kait secara terus dengan pentadbiran negara pada waktu itu, dan telah mengenal, dan daripada auditor punya tanggungjawab telah mengenal pasti ada unsur-unsur orang kata yang tidak jelas. Apakah tindakan auditor tersebut dan bagaimana pula kebiasaannya auditor di Malaysia apabila mengenal pasti ataupun membuat surat penilaian kepada transaksi yang telah dibuat, kepada pihak audit komiti ataupun lembaga pengarah ataupun pemegang saham, mereka akan diberitahu bahawa fees kamu tidak akan dibayar kalau report itu tidak dipersetujui. Apakah penyelesaian kepada itu, Mr. Kian? Ataupun adakah peruntukan-peruntukan perundangan yang baru bagi membela nasib auditors tersebut, Mr. Kian?
Okay, that means they use the fees as a weapon lah, senjata.
Kebiasaan apa ni macam
kalau you tidak, kalau you
beratus-ratus auditor bungkus tutup jabat.
Kalau you don't sign off, you don't dapat itu audit fees lah.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Under ethics, okay, another issue on juru audit is ethics, etika.
Yes.
Ethics.
Itu yang paling besar sekali saya rasa.
So under ethics, juru audit cannot withhold report because fees not paid. Right? So if the audit report finished already, even though fees tak bayar, they have to release the report. So I suggest a better way lah, but don't quote me, is right. If you want to collect your fees, you tell the client.
Collect awal lah.
No. You tell the client audit belum habis, right? Hampir habis, 90% habis, right? But if you can pay, kalau you bayar, saya boleh expeditekan and habiskan audit. So be very careful lah. If you say your audit is finished, under ethics, you have to release. Walaupun tidak dibayarkan, right? But if you're smarter, you tell the client, belum habis. Hampir habis, nearly finished. But I need more resources kerana short of staff. So kalau you bayar, saya boleh expeditekan dan habis lah. Then different, so different angle lah. So sometimes you have to be street smart lah to collect the fees.
Main politik jugalah.
Yeah. But now auditors are very careful. Kalau you finish the audit, the client don't pay the fees, the next year they are not allowed to do the audit, Kerana under ethics, if the client owe you money for the year, this year, next year you bought audit, you're not independent because you are more fearful of your fees. So they disallow the auditor from continuing under etika kalau fees belum bayar. So this help the auditor in the sense that you can tell the client, I cannot do audit for you because you didn't pay. It's not that I want to collect. The ethics say so lah. So this will encourage the client to pay also lah on the grounds of ethics and conflict of interest. I think it's fair lah if the client owe you 2 million fees, ask you to do audit this year. I think you're more worried, I'm going to incur another 2, then 4 million, how? I have to give you good audit report, otherwise you don't pay me, right? Okay. So under ethics is, remember, right, owe you fees, you don't collect, next year cannot do audit. Then you tell your client, I've been with you for a long time, so far I'm okay with you, you want me to continue or not? All right? So you want me to continue, you pay lah. If not, then you have to get a new auditor. Now the new auditor will ask you, why you never renew the contract of the old auditor? You never pay fees. I think the second auditor also scared to come in, right? Right. Okay. Because as I think the second auditor come in must contact the first auditor and ask, mengapa your position, not continue, right? If the auditor nice, you tell him I got no resources lah. But you dig deeper, why no resources? Kerana no fees. So this is the ethical issues involved lah, which is part of the chapter that we're going to do next week. So next week kita akan look at the Akta Syarikat, more boring lah. Akta Syarikat on what are the section to do with accounts and what are the section to do with pengauditan. Not the whole Akta. The whole Akta very thick, So we need doing about
116 muka surat.
Yeah. Then this is part of your assignment where you summarize each section, right? Summarize each section so that you internalize, so you can show off your boss. I know what section, because you guys are involved in the audit and accounts. Sometimes the boss say no need to do lah. Then you can tell the boss, you don't do it, this is fire penjara. So if you know the section, it helps in your work because this is an Akta. The boss usually very cincaiwan. They say never mind, it's okay lah. But actually, kalau ada problem is you got problem, not him. Because because he's very smart. He didn't sign anything. You signed, right? So we learn what are the time bombs that as an employee, as a staff, you should be aware so that you're not trapped. Because many times you look at the surat khabar, kena handcuff, young fella, sometimes he may not be the person responsible. He's a scapegoat, yeah. Many cases a CFO becomes scapegoat. The MD.
Junior auditor.
So normally the MD say, I don't remember telling you doing this. Why you do it? But actually, there was instruction, but verbal instruction to do it, right?
Verbal instruction.
Yeah. So this subject is actually quite interesting in a way to make you aware what is a time bomb. You're stepping on
Yeah.
unknowingly lah. Sometimes your boss very nice to you you get promoted very fast. There is a reason right? So, yeah, in many cases.
Claim bayar cepat je.
So you get very nice fast, but there's a price to pay lah. Sometimes you need to say no lah. You need to say no. I think somebody just now WhatsApp me say very tired already. Just now a message. So you all want to take an early rest? It's already 5:45. So we will finish off. I think we target 5:45 lah, because long day also. But those who want to stay behind can stay behind. All right. Those who answer the question just now early on, what is auditing? Just send me if you have not done so, just WhatsApp me a short answer lah, and then your name and also your student number. Okay. So we will sign off except for those who want to stay back.
Sorry, Mr. Ken.
Yes.
This recording session, is there any possibility for us to to get this recorded session untuk ni boleh hantar?
I'm just testing it today. If I'm just first time I'm trying to record this. I didn't record the first half. Only the second half.
Just nak buat homework lah, nak baca lah, nak tengok balik.
Okay, can. I will see whether it can be done, and then I will send it by what do you call that? Some software for you to download lah. Okay.
Email boleh ke? UMSF ke? Email lah.
It's too big a file, I think. So it has to be by way of a link. I'll figure out how to.
Okay.
Okay. I hope you all find it quite interesting today and not fall asleep.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So we will have a mix of videos. Next week there'll be a few more videos. I think video is very helpful because then it give you a very more in-depth. So next week there will be another video on Enron, but this one is more concentrate only on Enron. It's a documentary made on Enron. How the culture, the corporate culture, it starts from it's like a semi-documentary where they look into the personality of the people, the CFO, and how the culture evolved over time to become the disastrous Enron about 1.5 hours. It's actually a movie, a semi-documentary, but unfortunately there are a lot of it is an unedited documentary from US, so there are other foul language, which the swearing and all those things lah. And then for certain part, I think from 30 minutes 29, there's a bit of a nightclub scene. These people are actually quite morally not that strong people. So there are some scenes on the nightclub on 29 minutes to whatever 31. So I cannot edit it because it is a documentary, original documentary from US. All right. So I will try to maybe miss the link, but you happen to see, just close your eyes lah. All right. Don't have your children around to see that section, but there's a lot of foul words and four-letter words and all those things because some portion of the documentary is not edited. All right, but that give you a good insight into American company, right? Apa yang actually really happened in there. Apart from accounts, there's also a lot of human factor, greed, personality, and political reasons. So next week we'll see that, and then we'll try to do the Akta Syarikat first assignment. So the first assignment is 20 marks on Akta Syarikat. I will post the question later in the evening. Tomorrow you can actually have a look at it first. The Akta Syarikat already posted in the ada BM version dan English lah. So just look at the accounts and the pengauditan, the two section. All right. So if you need to summarize that in your assignment, that's it. And then it's actually an easy subject to assignment to get some marks lah. So this course is you got 3 internal assessment. Akta Syarikat is one. Then there's one that is called pembentangan presentation. You do a video of the presentation, 5 to 10 minutes. You postkan kepada saya lah, right? There's pembentangan. There's 10 marks, And then there's another one, third one is a case study on the great financial crisis, Lehman Brothers, and so on. A bigger one, there's 20 marks. So it's 20, 10 dan 20, right? Then for the exam part, there's 3 part. There's satu is an online test, right? Online test is 20, I think, 20. Then there's a take-home exam, 10 marks. Then there's another take-home exam case study, that's 20 marks. So altogether 100 lah, right? So the take-home one exam, basically you can do at home like one week lebe to do it. Whereas the 3 assignment we can actually start now to do, right? So next week kita akan buat the akta syarikat one lah, for the 20 marks one. Okay. So we should sign off now. So I will catch up with you all next week at 2 o'clock. Okay. All right. Okay. So
Thank you,
good
Mr. Ken.
evening. Selamat petang.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ken. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ken.
See you there.
Mr.
Bye.
Ken.
Okay. See you next week.
Yeah. See you next week.
Thank you, Mr. Ken.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.